She's learning how to go do potty training, so she. Good morning, everybody. We are live. We're live now. That means we are.
Can I tell them why to work?
Laura is coming right back. There she is. Hi, Laura. Hi, Margo. How you doing today?
We're excited.
We're excited. This is exciting, Margo. It's good to see you today.
Yeah, there's Miss Jen, and then Maxwell's brother's name is Cole. Can we say hi, Cole? Just thinking about it. I can, but I choose not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of that.
For those of you who are just joining us, we're going to wait a few more minutes for people to join and get a little bit of a class going here.
Why?
You want to take a ride?
Other supplies that you might need.
We're
just
making
if you're,
granola.
We are going to make granola. We love making granola here, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to also need a small pot. I should have mentioned that before. And maybe measuring cups. Well, we do need a bowl. And then also a
Mom, somebody's here.
A baking tray, and
Mom,
if you have
here.
parchment, that's great. So I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. Hi, Lou and Becky. It's nice to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you again soon in person.
This is a recipe that I had never tried before you showed me, and I would have, I don't know, thought of it as something kind of hard to do. And then once I did it, I was like, I will never go back. This is easy, it's fun, and we do it pretty often around here.
Yeah, once I started making granola, I also kind of lost the taste for store-bought granola. It was too sweet, or it just didn't quite taste the way I wanted it to.
Right. Well, and it can be very pricey. You know, I look at a little bag.
Yes.
Knowing how much we go through, it's a lot more affordable to just make it.
And if you can order your ingredients in bulk and just have them in your pantry, then you can kind of keep making it. So we'll wait a few more minutes. So what I was mentioning, and maybe what I'll do, I'm going to bring the computer here for a minute. While we're waiting for everybody to arrive, I'm going to make some banners. Cole, I can make banners on this where I can show people. Hi, Cammie. Hey, Marin. Cole's here today too.
Thank you.
I'm gonna delete some of the old banners, and I'm just gonna put up a banner about what. So I'm just gonna write while we're waiting.
Is this an issue in anyone else's household? My kids love to eat butter.
Yes. Oh my God, I love butter. I would come find like little. When Cole was little, he had a little space between his teeth, and I would know when it was Cole who had eaten the butter because there would be like this little like tooth mark in it. So we are going to need a sheet pan and a small pot and measuring cups and spoons, just in case you need to go grab those while we're waiting.
This is also a recipe, and I sort of use air quotes, that is very much in line with the way that I cook, because it's sort of like a little more of this, a little less of that, and it always comes out great.
That's exactly right. And so I wanted to show some options today. I gave a lot of options of ingredients that we could use, but it's really flexible. As long as you sort of have the right amount of dry ingredients to wet, you're good. So I think we'll go ahead and start. No, I think it would be easier if you sat right next to me. Oh, that's okay. We just lost one. Can you pick that up for me? And I'll just put it off to the side. Sorry. Why don't you move your chair over to me a little bit? And you move this one over. You'll be able to be right in there. There you go. See, cool? Okay. So what we're going to be doing is making some granola. And oh yeah, let's go back to comments and see who else is here with us today. Olivia's here, awesome, and Marin, they said hi to you, Cole. And oh, good, hi, Summer, how are you? It's good to see you. She used to be taking some of our classes before. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Can you back just a little bit so I can? Aunt Liz is here. You want to say hi to Aunt Liz?
Hi.
Okay, so we're gonna get started. What we're gonna be making is granola, and the base of our granola is going to be rolled oats. And so just a couple notes about what the ingredients are we're using. We're actually using almost entirely seeds for this recipe, which is kind of an interesting idea. I don't think we often think of oats as a seed, but oats are a seed
That I like to eat.
you can try one, that's been rolled flat by a mill. And you want to taste one? Sure.
Yeah.
So if you have steel cut oats, that's the seed, and it comes, I mean, it looks like a seed. It looks like sort of like the way a wheat seed looks when you have oat in its regular form. And if it's steel cut, it's basically cut in half. And the reason why steel cut oats take longer to cook is because they're a little bit thicker, and they haven't been flattened as much. But when you have old-fashioned rolled oats that are flattened, they cook a lot faster. And then if you have instant oats, what you'll notice the difference between instant oats and non-instant oats is just that the non-instant oats are a lot bigger. So for granola, I tend to like the non-instant ones because I like my pieces to be a little bit chunkier. But you can absolutely use instant oats if you have them. They're just a little bit smaller. They're like flakes of oat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have the old-fashioned oats.
Oh my goodness, Margo.
And then whenever I can see them, sure.
Can I try one?
You want to try some oats?
All right.
So these are seeds that would grow into an oat plant, right? Which is a grass. It's a type of a grass, just like wheat. Yeah. And then I also have here, I'm going to show you those in just a second, okay, Cole? And you can taste
Where's
them all.
Puss?
And you can give me just a second. So I have here, because I found these one day in the store recently, and I grab them whenever I can because I don't always see them without sugar. These are, does it look backwards to you, or can you see that?
Let me see. I have to get closer because I don't have my glasses. No, it's not backwards.
Okay, so this is kamut, which is a wheat. It's a kind of a wheat, and these are just puffed wheat seeds. So these are wheat seeds that have been air puffed.
Where's 52?
If you have something like that, that's great to add. I also found rice puffs, and you can order all of these online. And rice puffs are just rice seeds. So it's basically a grain of rice that's been puffed up. But if you don't have any of that, and you happen to have some toasted rice cereal or crispy rice or Rice Krispies, then these will work just as well. What you basically need for your recipe is about 5 cups total of dry ingredients. So that can be a mixture of the oats, the puffed rice, and then also it's going to be a mixture of your seeds that you use. So I'm going to use pumpkin seeds. You could also add coconut flakes. I'm not going to add those because my youngest son has an allergy that we think is potentially to coconut.
Wait, who?
You. Allergy. These are coconut flakes.
Can I eat those? No, I like them. I like them.
In a little bit, we can. How about? And then you could also add sliced almonds. I used to always add sliced almonds to my granola, and had to cut that out also when we discovered his allergy to tree nuts. So I'm going to start with 3 cups of the oats. Okay, so Cole, will you start with my 3 cups?
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, with this?
So dig in deep.
Where is
Or actually, it's easier to pour it.
Where's
Okay, why don't we do this? Pour. And you don't have to be super exact here, okay?
Because everything's better with extra.
Everything is better with extra. So that's
And we have a mix of ingredients over here. I just basically raided the pantry and pulled out what I could find. So we are using coconut. I love the coconut flavor in granola. We have a few almonds left. We have a big bag of pecans, so I'm going to chop some of those up.
right.
Sunflower seeds.
Perfect.
If you have some flax seeds, I'll just use a few of them because they can have,
Yeah, you use like a tablespoon or so of those.
right, and some sesame seeds as well.
Right. So again, it's 3 cups of oats, and I'm going to go ahead and type this into the banner so that we have it there. I'm going to create a banner. So 3 cups oats.
You can help me. Come on over here.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. Let's say you have only oats and none of the other things that we talked about. Just put 5 cups of oats and you're good. And you can wait for us to finish with the rest of our stuff. But if you only have the oats, you can absolutely make just granola with oats, okay? You don't need to add anything else. But if you add a bunch of other things, you get a lot of other nutrients and you get a lot of other textures. And so we're going to add to this about, Cole, let's add about half of a cup of the wheat puffs.
But I think we could dig into this one. That's about good.
So that's good. Add that in. And okay.
And then I don't think you mentioned this as something that you're using today, but you taught me this trick. Right?
Yes.
Especially stale rice cakes that may have gotten lost in the back of the cupboard like these did are a great addition. So we're going to crunch these up into about bite-sized pieces, either using your hands. You know, Margot's probably better at that than using a tool at this point, but the mezzaluna would work well. We're going to crunch them up until they're about this big so that they fit on a spoon.
Yes, actually, I remember having such a hard time finding the puffed rice. And the thing that the puffed rice does is it adds a little bit of a crunch and like a little extra texture, which we were learning about this morning, the word texture. And so I really liked the puffed rice, but I couldn't find any. And then I happened to be walking in the grocery store, saw the rice cakes and thought, that's just puffed rice. You know, rice cake is just puffed rice kind of made into a cake. And so you can just take that, and that's a great activity for kids to chop up. Yes. Why don't you get a rice cake and you want to start chopping it up? Maybe we'll add it to this, maybe not. And then I'm going to just use my puffed rice here to make up that full cup. So again, if you don't have the puffed rice, just add another cup of oats, okay? You're wanting to get to about 5 cups total. Yeah, they're up super high. Oh, actually, I have one that's open already. Here, use this one.
And something that we usually add, but we're all out of right now, is dried fruit. So like dried blueberries, raisins, dried cranberries. Those are really great additions as well.
Yeah, I am not a fan of dried. Oh, actually, I have an activity for you, Cole. You want to try something here? So Cole likes smashing things, but instead of doing it on the table,
Oh, I love that. Oh, can I do that?
you can do one too. Yes. Hold on. We're going to put it all in this bag, and I'm going to give you a job. Can you go over to the end of that table and smash this like this?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Cole's going to do a little smashing over there. Okay, so we added about a cup of puffed rice or puffed wheat. And the next thing we're going to add are our seeds and nuts. And that will also make about a total of 1 cup. So if you have 2 different kinds, like let's say you have pumpkin seeds and almonds, that you would do a half a cup of pumpkin seeds, a half a cup of almonds. If you have just pumpkin seeds, go for a cup. Or a mixture of any of those things, but about 1 cup. And you can also add the coconut as this part of it as well. And so I'm going to do pumpkin seeds. Okay, we're good. Cool. Yeah, you want to add that to our granola? I don't need it all, but maybe add, or do you want to eat it? We want to add it. Okay, so Cole just made our rice cake into some puffs. So you know what, Maxwell, I'm going to give you in a little bit of
Those are like really good.
Yeah, that made a really little powder. That's cool. Okay, cool. So now can you just stir this together?
Yes.
Oh, you know, I'm also going to add, I'm going to make one more banner here. I'm going to say we're going to add 1 cup of nut and seed mixture.
67.
And we'll add that. How's everybody doing? Following along okay?
Great. She's very
Added that together. Great. Okay, so that's our dry. A whole bunch of different seeds.
What is this?
And we're just going to set that aside for a moment.
A clue. Your honey's one of your. And here's what our granola
We're going to show that in a second. We made a little granola before. We're going to be fancy today and have a total swap out, just like on real shows. So Marin says they did coconut, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and oats. That's awesome. Yeah, you just I like to do a little bit. And then, yes, Summer, thank you. Zinc in pumpkin seeds. It's a great source of zinc. That's wonderful to know. And Becky, with regards to the chocolate chips, you actually add those after your granola has cooled from the oven. Otherwise, they get all melted. So hold on to your chocolate chips for a little bit longer, okay? If they add it in now, that's fine. Oh, and Marin also added sliced almonds. That's awesome. Nice. Okay. Oh, you know what I forgot to add is a little bit of flax seeds. I just happen to have them. Oh, quinoa is wonderful, Summer. That's awesome. I was thinking about that. Or chia seeds might be really good too.
Yeah, you can kind of, just shop from your pantry and see what you have. And so often there's just like a little bit of many things left. So this is a great way to use it up and turn it into something delicious that you're going to use.
So I'm going to now, once we've done that mixture, we're going to set that aside.
Can I write the thing?
I'm going to write it this time and then maybe in a little bit. We're going to now add in our ingredients for our wet ingredients. So
honey.
It's a third a cup of honey.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put this up as a banner in just a second so we all have it. A third a cup of water.
Yeah.
1 tablespoon of butter. Unsalted if you have it. If you have salted only, you can just take away some of the salt. A 1/4 teaspoon salt.
Yeah.
2 tablespoons brown sugar. If you only have white sugar, that'll work.
Brown
sugar. And 1 teaspoon vanilla. Okay, I'm going to add that banner. And we're going to post that so we have it. Okay, so now we're going to go to our wet ingredients. So
wet ingredients.
Oh wow, Summer. So Summer did she did chia and she also did amaranth seeds. That's amazing.
I love chia.
Yum. Okay, cool. So now let's get our wet ingredients going. So we are going to start measuring out our wet. So we have a little bit of water. So Cole, can you pour 1/3 of a cup of water into here? So do you see where the 1/3 line is? 1/3, 1/3. So pour the water in to fill it up to there. I'll do the honey. Trick for the honey, if your honey is solid, you just stick it in the microwave for about 30 seconds until it starts to melt.
I actually did it perfect.
So go ahead and pour that into my pot. So I'm going to pour my honey. 1/3 of a cup of honey. Great. And thank you, Cole. Can you do, yes, Maxwell?
Wait, never mind.
Okay, so we've got our 1/3 of a cup of honey. We have 1/3 of a cup of water into our small pot. Okay, and now Cole, can you do 1 teaspoon of vanilla? I'm going to do this to get some of this honey out. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is our vanilla extract.
Oh no.
Oh goodness.
Oh God, no.
That's okay. Okay, let's go ahead and pour a teaspoon of vanilla into our pan. And we're going to cut 1 tablespoon of butter, unsalted. And again, if you only have salted butter, you can just reduce the amount of salt that you're adding, or it's going to be fine. It's not that much salt anyways.
Right.
Cole, can you do 2? But can you do 2? Oh, Maxwell, you finished it. Very good. Can you do 2 scoops of brown sugar, please? 2 scoops. Yep. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon of butter.
There's a blob that's as big as this.
And that's all going to go into our small pan.
So, Jen, we don't have brown sugar over here. White sugar would work okay?
It'll work fine. Yeah.
Now 1 for me.
Okay, you have a tiny little bit. Oh, that's big. That's too big.
I'm going to add some
You
sugar.
have this little chunk.
I have some sugar.
Over there. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to put it on the stove top. I'll turn my computer in just a second here. Let's see how we can do this here. I'm gonna have to go this way, sorry. Okay, there we go. And you can see a little sneak preview of our granola in the back there. I'll show it to you better in a second. So we're just gonna warm up the you're just gonna warm up your what we have again is the honey, the water, the brown sugar, the butter, and salt. Did we add our salt? We didn't add salt. No. A quarter of a teaspoon of salt.
Do we have chocolate chips?
The chocolate chips, as a reminder, are going to go in later. Oh, we'll show that in a second. Yeah, that's a good idea, Cole. We actually can show that. So you're just cooking your wet ingredients until the butter is melted and until the sugar is dissolved. How's everybody doing out there?
So we are, we added some maple syrup as well. So I had just the tiniest bit left in the bottle, and figured why not add that flavor? So ours is going to have a little bit of maple in it as well.
What did you say, Laura? You added a little brown sugar?
I added some maple syrup because I had just like a so we added that because I figured, yeah.
So looks like Summer's doing great. And so again, we're just cooking our wet ingredients until they're just melted. Oh, and she used coconut sugar. Yum. That's going to taste delicious. I really love the taste of coconut. And so again, you're really just looking for about 5 cups of dry ingredients. So you can be really creative with whatever you want to put in there.
Mom, can we say?
Marin says that they're cooking.
Mom, can we say a hi to
Who do you want to say hi to?
Amelia, to David?
Oh, yes. Cole wanted to say a hi to Amelia and David. We miss seeing you guys. But it's fun to kind of see you here, even if it's just remotely. All right, so my butter is almost melted. We're just about good. Yep, so it's just melted, and I'm now going to turn off my heat. And I'm going to, oh, it looks like Becky's having fun. I'm so glad. Okay. I'm gonna put this back here. I'm sorry, Maxwell, I stepped on your toes. Okay.
Well, I just want to say
And
hi.
I'm
Hi, David.
Maxwell wants to say hello. Okay.
Hi, David.
So now I'm going to ask you guys to come back over here because I'm going to get started on our craft in just a moment. Can you kind of come over here? Maxwell, do you want to pull that chair over? We're going to be able to see everybody. I'm going to remove the banner so that it's a little easier to see. Okay. Okay. Can you go with that over there? Great. Okay, so now that we have our wet ingredients,
I really don't need
you're doing so good. Maxwell, cool. Now that we're going to add our wet ingredients, come on over to this side. We'll move some stuff out of the way so you have room. And we're going to add our wet to our dry. I'm going to move this down just a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay. Get this cleaned up a little bit, our kitchen area. Okay. So we're just going to pour in the wet ingredients all over the dry ingredients.
And then you're gonna cook. Then you're gonna put this on a pan and cook it.
You're right, Cole. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. If you haven't already, my apologies. Set your oven to 300 degrees.
300. Okay, thank you.
My apologies on that. I should have said that earlier. It's going to be fine, but if you want to just get your oven going to 300.
Wait, can I write? You said I can
write 300 degrees.
So it's something that cooks at like a relatively low temperature for a while, right? It's going to take about 40 minutes.
About 45 minutes.
Right.
You're close, Cole. You're close. We're going to do DEGREES.
Yes.
And then click the add banner. And then you're going to scroll over there and press show.
Show.
Good. Okay.
300
degrees for your oven. Okay. And so now that you've added your wet to your dry, you're going to start mixing it. And you can use your hands or a spoon. It might be a little warm at first. Cole, you want to go ahead and kind of very carefully so it doesn't come out of the bowl. Go ahead and set your start mixing. Lydia says hi to you as well, Cole. Yes, Julia, sorry about that. We are preheating the oven to 300 degrees.
If you stir, it's gonna be a little like hard because the honey sticks all of it together.
Yeah, you're right. It starts to get a little clumpy, which is exactly what you want to do. Now, while kids are stirring, you can get your pan prepared. A sheet pan will work fine. You do not need to cover it with parchment. It just makes it a little bit easier to get, at the end. But if you don't have parchment, it's going to be totally fine. But you just want to cover your pan with parchment.
If you don't have parchment, would you spray it with cooking oil?
I don't think it would stick that much. You could, but I just don't think it's going to stick all that much. And even if it does, you can get it off. I think it's a good question. Maybe a little spray might be helpful.
Okay.
Or just a little bit of oil would be a little bit helpful. You can taste it now if you want to.
Mommy?
And so you just want to stir it until all of your granola is a little bit moist.
I want to taste it.
You want to taste some too, Maxwell?
Mommy?
Yeah.
Can you tell me something?
Sure.
Will I have some brown sugar?
Not right now, sweetheart. Okay. So once your granola is mostly stirred up,
Cool.
and you notice there's not a lot of dry parts in it anymore,
Yeah.
you're just going to pour it onto your pan.
You mean wet parts, Mom?
There's no more dry parts. So you want to make sure that there's not a lot of oats that look like they haven't gotten hit by the wet parts. Does that make sense?
Right. It's sort of like a sauce, if you're thinking about covering a salad with salad dressing. You want
Yeah, we're just mixing it. Okay. And then you're going to pour it onto the pan just like this.
It's so good.
You like it, Maxwell?
Yeah.
Great. Can you come a little bit so that everybody can see? There we go. And we're going to
And
pour.
then you spread it all around.
Yes. Would you like to do the spreading?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
So then we spread out our granola.
Mommy, I didn't do anything. I want to do something.
You want to do a little spreading too? You can use this one to spread. So we're just going to spread it to make a nice even layer. Make sure there's no holes in there, okay? Just pat it down, Cole, okay? So you can spread it out a little bit. The thinner it is, the more it evenly browns. So try to get it pretty spread out.
Yeah.
This part can be moved over a little bit. It could take up pretty much the whole pan,
Yep.
okay? So I'm going to let go.
I'm really doing everything.
You're doing so much today, Cole. What a helpful cooker you are today. All right, so we're patting it down, and it's fine if they're clumped together because the clumps are those are my favorite parts of granola.
Yeah, then you get more sugar.
Mommy, those ones are better.
Well, those ones are cooked. Can you put these in the sink for me? Be my helper. Okay, so this is what it looks like before it goes in the oven. Okay, it's a little bit pale, and we're gonna go ahead and put that in the oven at 300 degrees.
This is what it looks like when it's
I know. We're going to show that in just a second, Cole. We're going to show that in just a second. And then we are going to put it at 300 degrees. I'm going to put it in here for 45 minutes.
This is what it looks like when it's cold.
Okay, Cole. I'm going to show that. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Let me see what our comments look like here. See if there's any questions before we move on. So, Summer, what spices are you talking about to add?
I could imagine cinnamon would be good if you wanted to season.
Oh, sure, you could. Absolutely. Okay,
or, any warm spice really, like pumpkin pie spice could be good.
Yeah, if you wanted to add cinnamon, you could add it to the wet ingredients. I would add it, but you could sprinkle it on top if you'd like to. And so I'm going to take my tray of granola, 300 degrees, 45 minutes. Can you guys come back for just a second? I'm going to open up the oven. So, stand back. We're just going to show it in the oven. So there it is in the oven. And now we're going to show you what it looks like.
Halftime.
Now we're going to show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. So I made a little bit of granola earlier. The kids are not able to keep their hands off of it right now.
Yeah. That's a good sign.
So here's what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. It's nice and browned, and you're looking for a nice sort of brown finish. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? Why don't you guys each go get a little bowl from the drawer over there, and I'll give you a little bit.
Jen, when it's in the oven, do you kind of just leave it alone, or do you stir it every?
Yeah, so once it's in the oven, you can give it a shake every now and again if you want to go in and kind of, sometimes the edges get brown before the middle, and so sometimes I'll move the edges. Can you go grab a spoon as well for me, Cole? I'll move the edges and kind of push those into the middle.
Yeah.
And let me just take off this banner so you can see. I'll move the edges and kind of take the edges and move them into the middle.
Mom, here we
And kind of do a little switcheroo on them. Okay, Cole. Let me get you. I gotta feed these kids some granola because they're not able to wait.
It's irresistible. Yeah, I think mine is sort of thick on the baking sheet because I had some dumped in by my little helper. So I think I'm going to have to stir it periodically to make sure that it's all drying out and it's not like stopping the humidity, the moisture.
Yeah, that you definitely. Okay. You definitely are going to want to stir it. If it's really thick in your tray, go ahead and give it a stir because the bottom part will stay a little wet. And really, what you want is a nice dry, sort of brown granola. Okay, now can you guys go sit on that side over there? I'm going to get you started on your activity in just a moment.
Come here.
So my chocolate chips are the last thing I'm going to add. So the granola's in the oven. This is the granola we made. And so what I usually do is once I get to this point where it's cooled down and the chips won't melt anymore, I just sprinkle some chocolate chips on top. And then I take a large plastic bag, and I'm just going to use the one that Cole had used earlier for smashing the rice cakes. And I just grab my parchment. Oh, you see this nice chunk? That's what I'm looking for, is those big chunks.
Mom, put it in here. Put it in here. No.
And I grab my parchment just like this. And grab my bag and just kind of pour it right into my bag. And I have my granola ready to go for tomorrow morning or later today.
Yeah. We also eat it for breakfast just with milk or with yogurt.
So that's the big question, right? I prefer my granola with, it's 1 tablespoon of butter, Katie. 1 tablespoon of butter. Can you come over here, sweetie? And then cinnamon. So Summer, if you added the cinnamon, I would say that you can either sprinkle it on top or you can add it to the wet ingredients on the stove top, or you can add it to the granola once it's wet. I would say that would be fine as well. It'll any time will work well.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you can really go wrong. And you know, how much depends on how strong of a cinnamon flavor you want. So
that's exactly right.
Experiment.
Okay. So now we're going to work on a little craft. If anybody's still with us, anybody have questions? Frozen blueberries sounds delicious to make yours with frozen and cook that or eat it with yogurt and blueberries. We in our cooking classes will often do also a parfait. So we'll do like yogurt, a little bit of granola, a little bit of jam, yogurt, jam, granola. So it's that's a really nice one. If you put it in a little cup, it's a really fun thing for kids to eat. So that's another way. Oh, and you know what Cole figured out one year? One time we took the, remember when you wanted to make cookies one morning?
Yeah.
And he made up a recipe where he took a little bit of the granola, he stirred it in a bowl with a little bit of yogurt, just enough to kind of form a ball.
Oh.
And then he made these little balls. We put them on a cookie sheet and stuck them in the freezer.
Ooh.
And not more than like 20 minutes later, he had these little frozen yogurt and granola balls that my kids gobbled up. So we do that a lot still too.
No, my idea.
It was totally your idea. You made up that
It should
recipe.
be a real recipe.
It is a real recipe. We just made it one.
Whole yogurt bites.
Cole's yogurt bites, delicious. And there was like a perfect way for them to eat them in the morning. I would just like grab one out of the freezer. They could sit and eat a whole yogurt, yogurt granola frozen ball.
You might be onto something, Cole.
Yeah. Okay. So now my last craft. We've been making these seed mancalas. We have a big one at the farm. This is one I made this morning, where I used glue to create a shape of a heart. And then I took string and glued it onto the onto that shape, and then added a couple of additional lines of string. And then what you can do
You fill it up.
is you can fill it up with seeds. And what I was doing before is I was doing like just white seeds on one side. I did a mix on the other, and you could use beads or Legos if you have them. And so what I did, and here, Cole, will you make one? Maxwell, do you want to make one too?
Mommy.
I have enough glue for you.
Could they have some brown sugar now?
No, not now. You want to use that side? Okay. Ella, do you want to make one?
Sure.
Maxwell, do you want to make one?
Yeah.
So you take your glue stick.
I'm at the table.
And so what Laura's doing is she's doing hers with marker because she didn't have the supplies that we needed, but that's totally fine. If you just make a shape, and then you could sort of make some shapes within, like Laura's doing. She can now fill in and kind of keep your beads or your seeds in those lines. And so that will work just fine.
A basketball and I'm gonna fill it in.
Oh, a basketball. I love it. So Cole, make sure you put plenty of glue. So you're gonna make a circle. Let's make sure you want to make sure you have a lot of glue in that section. So you can use yarn would work really well. You need some scissors.
Pipe cleaners.
I tried pipe cleaners this morning, and it didn't work as well. The pipe cleaners kept popping off. My glue wasn't strong enough.
Okay.
And it was frustrating. So I found the string to work a little bit better. Okay, so then you take your string, Cole, and you're going to. I'll make a triangle on mine.
I'm gonna make a smiley face.
So I'm putting lots of glue to make sure it sticks. You're gonna do a smiley? Okay, so I'm doing a little triangle.
I'm gonna do like a I guess.
And you just take your string and you kind of stick it onto your paper or your cardboard, and you can cut the ends off. Do you want me to help you cut that off? It's a little, oh, you did it. Great. So make sure it's pressed on really well. Otherwise the string will come off. So there we have a string, and I think I'm just going to cut mine in half with the string. So Laura's drawing a really beautiful design on there, which is a little, when you're drawing it, it's a little bit easier.
Yes, definitely easy to make sort of any kind of organic shape that you want. And I was wondering, Jen, are you planning to, so if you arrange beads or seeds or any sort of other small materials on it, just to arrange it and leave it for a short time and then take them off? Or are you planning to glue it?
It's the kind of thing, what's so great about this is that it's totally reusable art. So you can make it and then pour the seeds back in, make it again. So I'm not gluing my seeds in, although you absolutely could, but I'm just sort of setting mine up on the table. It's kind of a calming activity.
Yeah.
So I'm setting it up on the table with seeds or beads, and then anybody can make whatever design they'd like to.
I was thinking that if you're doing it with paper like I am, because you don't have the border, which can be helpful, especially for little fingers in place, I might actually use a glue stick, have them do one section at a time and fill it with something fine. Like I have a bunch of grain, like quinoa or, different
Mm-hmm.
And we probably will glue it down and make, some artwork with it that we wouldn't reuse, just because I think it might be really hard to keep it in place if it's not glued down on just flat paper.
Yes, I think it totally depends on how you want to use it. So at the farm, we use ours. We have a big one that one of our amazing, one of our amazing educators created for us. And we'll set that up That's okay. That's perfect. We'll set that up with a whole bunch of seeds. And, you know, it's a great way to sort of have a conversation with somebody as they're working on it.
I put a lot of pumpkin seeds on that one.
You did. I remember you know, especially when we had a lot of seeds that were that we hadn't used, that we're using more for classes. So we used a lot of those seeds and beans on that. So it's just you know, if you have older kids, it's a great activity to kind of leave out with a little jar. Yep. We have these left over from a activity that Ella had done in her class. And I kept thinking, like, should I toss those beans? And thank goodness I didn't, because now we've used them so much for all different kinds of activities. So here I just did one.
And obviously, and Margot, for example, this could be an activity for practicing. We have pieces of materials and say, like, okay, we're going to do one section that's red. We're going to do one section that's
yeah, you can leave and come back to it.
So you could practice colors, practice working on shapes. So you could, you know, have a series of squares, for example, or a series of triangles, and that, you know, preschool age and below could be practicing shapes and colors with something like this.
I think it's great.
I'm going to grab some.
All right. So does anybody have any final questions? Oh, yes. Nana says that you could use popcorn seeds if you want a yellowish color. Absolutely. Or those bags of like mixed beans with all the different colors is beautiful as well. So we made our granola. I will put the full recipe in the comments. I think I need to still do that for our recipe yesterday. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know. If you have any questions about how to make the granola. Again, it's 45 minutes in a 300-degree oven, just until it's nice and brown and it doesn't have that sort of like wet feeling anymore. You can switch it from the top to the bottom of the oven if it's getting too brown at the top of your oven. It's kind of hard to mess up. And then your chocolate chips can go in at the end if you want to add chocolate chips. Get it into a baggie or into a jar or something that you have a container, and it lasts for a little while. Great with milk, great with yogurt. Thanks, Summer. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your kind words, and it's been such a pleasure for us to see you each day and to have so many of you join us. So hopefully we'll keep on doing this, and we are going to keep doing them. We're going to keep doing them every day. We're going to figure out, once our kids start going back to school next week virtually, we're going to figure out a schedule that works for everybody. So let us know if you have any changes or suggestions.
I also would love to hear if people have ingredients in their house that they're like, I don't really know what to do with all of this, whatever I have. That would be a fun challenge for us to think of a recipe or a way to use that. So.
Absolutely. Let me show Cole's. I can't pick it up, but I'm going to see if I can get the computer. There's Cole's basketball he just made.
Oh, cool. Well done.
So good. Nicely done. Maybe we can find all the orange Legos and make it orange next. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It was so good to see you.
It's an orange.
Summer, that's so kind.
Mom, it is orange.
There we go. We have an orange. If we're taking donations, so you can make a donation on our website if that's what you're talking about, and we would greatly appreciate it. That's so thoughtful. Thank you.
Please keep sending us your pictures. Those have been awesome. And the direction that you take these different projects in. So that's really for us. So thank you.
Joanne, it's 300 degrees, not 350. So 300 degrees for 45 minutes.
Hi.
Okay.
Bye, Margot. Bye, Will.
All right. Can you wave goodbye?
It's such a pleasure to see you today. Bye. Thanks for having me today. You were the one in my family who did today. Yep. All right. Thanks, Tina. It was good to see you. We will get to you soon. Thanks, Tina. All right. We're going to say goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.